Hello, my name is Brian Day, Director of Digital Strategy for TMG. And here with me today is Ashley McAlpine from TMG's Fraud Department, Jeff Falk from TMG's Prepaid Area, and Cole Casper from TMG Product. And we're here today to talk about the recent digital craze of Pokemon Go. You might have seen people walking around with their cell phones out chasing those ever elusive Pokemons. But really when you look at the Pokemon craze, there's really two themes that we think may apply to financial institutions. One is augmented reality, and the second is gamification. As we look at those two themes, augmented reality and gamification, from a product perspective and how financial institutions offer and deliver products to their cardholders today, how do those two themes relate or impact financial institutions?
Yeah, really great question. I think this is a great space that financial institutions can really step into and take good use of it. I know we've seen some reports out of New Zealand where banks and financial institutions are using augmented reality to find ATM locations and branches. So that's kind of a cool use case. But I think expanding upon that, maybe looking at payments in augmented reality. So think about going to the grocery store, right? Being able to see the full produce aisle and being able to select different types of produce and then paying for it via virtual reality. I think that's a unique environment, and I don't know if that will then really transition to prepaid, but Jeff, I'm kind of curious what you have to say about that.
Well, I think I agree with you as far as this is an area that just is ripe for a lot of different innovation. I think offering the ability to do savings through a prepaid card and then being able to see what offers the merchants might have, as well as seeing where have you actually done your spend. So if you're looking around virtual reality, oh, well, there's a grocery store and I've spent $150. So you can start to use it as potentially a virtual reality budgeting tool as well.
I think there's also concerns about some countries that haven't yet introduced Pokemon Go, right? And we're seeing that there's some mock software being put out there that actually has malware instituted. So then we're seeing backdoors being created that fraudsters actually have access to all other applications on your cell phone. So there's a lot of things that can be manipulated that consumers need to be on the lookout for. Anytime that you are downloading something to your phone, there's a security risk. So it's making sure that you trust the application that's being added and that there's not backdoors being implemented with malware being put in addition.
Yeah, I know that's one thing I always check when I'm downloading an app is, what permissions does it have? What does it have access to? And can I limit those permissions? And if not, that's really kind of a deal breaker for myself, whether or not I'm going to install that app. So pretty valid point.
A lot of consumers don't take that additional step to look at what you're actually granting access to. So it's making sure that we're being privy to that information and that we're scrutinizing it at the same time.
So actually one of the things from a consumer perspective, especially demographically, those who are playing Pokemon Go may also be the same consumers that are eager to grant access or share information. So how do you educate those consumers?
I think it's doing things such as this forum, talking to consumers, looking at different media reports, talking through, just being mindful. And I think even those that are using these augmented realities for promotional aspects need to be aware of those risks as well. So if I'm going to, as in Pokemon Go, I believe it's a lure that they use to try and get people into specific spaces. It's making sure that you have the necessary security there, that it's in a safe location as well.
One of the things that I think that Pokemon Go has done or will do, and we'll see it over the next several months, probably leading up to the holiday gift buying season, is new life in hardware. So if you think about Google Glass, right? They went out, they had a consumer orientation, and then they backed way off of that, and they went more to a B2B. So they're working with it's more of a work with businesses around Google Glass. So I think that potentially this has the ability to breathe new life into those types of applications.
Yeah, I think it's looking at those authentication measures and making sure that we're protecting those authentication measures as well. So we've seen a number of instances where passwords are used and passwords are then hacked. So if we're moving to additional types of authentication, like a retina scan or fingerprint, are we protecting then that information so that it's not going to be hacked as well and put that information out there for everybody to see?
What is a best practice there, and what can we learn from how Pokemon's set up and what's driving consumers to continue to want to play?
I think it's that carrot that's just beyond your reach that you're constantly going for, and having goals set up that will continue your consumers to stay engaged. So they're achievable and attainable, but yet they're difficult to get there. So that risk reward factor, by spending time, I'm going to get to where I want to be, but it is involved. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to look at a little bit deeper, how we really build that into our products going forward, specifically within this environment.
I think the challenge is that things like Pokemon may have been a little bit unanticipated from a success perspective. So how do financial institutions set themselves up, actually to your point, how do they capitalize on things like Pokemon they come quickly and all of a sudden they're heavily popular in a short amount of time?
I think it's just keeping your ear close to the ground on different things that might be popping up. I think Pokemon came out really fast and really heavy, and I don't think and nowhere expected for it to take off like it did. So it's just, keeping close to what's going on within the media, and what apps might be taking off.
Sometimes these games are highly retail oriented, so they're geared more towards a traditional merchant environment. And it's important that as a financial institution, as much as we might want to think that we're highly merchant at this point or highly consumer product, there is a difference. For example, if I'm just out trying to capture the next Pokemon and I'm hungry, and I happen to see that there's a lure at my financial institution, or the financial institution I ride by, it's probably not going to be as good a fit as just the convenience of going in and grabbing a sandwich at the local sandwich shop. So I think there is some nuances on how to leverage it. So first and foremost, do I want to? And then secondly, how do I do it? How do I leverage it so that it makes sense from a consumer perspective?
Well, thank you everyone for your time and opinions and thoughts, and we appreciate you tuning in to hear about Pokemon, the latest craze in virtual reality and gamification.